Hey everyone, this is Schleicher from Gaming Trend, and I am here with Travis from Facade Games and Chandler from CrowdOx, and we're going to talk to both these guys and tell them about their different places in the industry right now. So, Travis, you are a designer of board games, right? And
Yep.
tell us how you got into doing board games, designing board games.
Yeah, so I come from a pretty big family. We just played a lot of games growing up, and I'd always be tweaking them, especially games like Mafia and Werewolves type of thing. So over a series of several years, I tweaked away, and eventually that turned into our first game and launched that in 2015, kind of just for a fun side project, and it blew up and did way better than we thought, and that opened our eyes to the possibility of making more. And so since then we made Tortuga 1667, and then a couple months ago we finished up our third game on Kickstarter called Deadwood 1876.
So now with Salem, you were only expecting like a couple hundred copies or something like that?
Yeah. Our goal was $6,000, and we ended up over 100,000. So
oh wow,
really crazy. Yeah.
So how did you decide to go and like talk to CrowdOx? Did they approach you, or did you approach them?
Yeah, I mean, so for
happened?
our first game, we actually used BackerKit, and it was good. We used them, and but then our second game, we learned about CrowdOx and some other pledge manager systems, and just really we got a dashboard tour of all of them, and the CrowdOx one just kind of made a lot more sense to us, and they've been really good to work with. I guess my impression is it's kind of a smaller team than BackerKit, but I actually really like that. I think the software is great, and they give us a lot more one-on-one attention, I think. So it's been great. So we use them for Tortuga, and then we're using them for Deadwood. Yeah.
And when did Deadwood end?
March.
Okay.
March, so pretty recently.
Cool. So Chandler, tell us exactly what CrowdOx actually does. What's the benefit of using CrowdOx?
CrowdOx is, it's a pledge management system, so that means that when the campaign is completed, so when Tortuga completed or Deadwood completed, the creator of the game is now left with a lot of work. There's a lot of organization of data and information that's necessary, as well as, we got to grab things like shipping information and, all these other additional steps that most creators don't even really think about. You don't really become aware of it until you've launched that campaign, and then you realize there are a lot of extra steps that nobody told me about. And so because of that, we created CrowdOx to help facilitate kind of that gap between the end of a campaign, which is fun. Campaigns are hard, but they're kind of fun because there's a lot of excitement with raising money, and that number keeps going up, and it's exciting. But then when the campaign's over, the excitement, not that it dies, but the work starts, and then you have to go and manufacture and go through the process of all of those steps, and so it's the most, I would consider it one of the most difficult or like busiest times for a creator, and so adding that extra layer of these additional steps is something that we hope that we can alleviate for creators. And so we built the system so that it will help them not only organize the information and have a really clean, easy layout to do that with, but they also can offer add-ons to a backer. And so with Deadwood, for example, they have these other amazing games that all look similar, which are pretty cool. And I thought it was genius. Like for them, they can say, hey, I've got this one, and now, I feel like as a backer, I gotta have all three on my shelf. And so they had an opportunity to offer additional copies to backers that maybe had never heard of the other games. They heard of Deadwood and they backed it, and now they can grab those as well. So that's an advantage through the system that a lot of backers, or a lot of creators really enjoy, being able to increase their revenue. It helps them come out with more games because of that extra revenue.
Yeah, and I think Deadwood, through the add-on sales, it's like 50,000 extra So it's a lot. It's a
Wow.
significant amount that CrowdOx helps with those add-on sales afterwards.
It's been really good, and they've also we opened up a late pledge page, so that backers that missed the campaign can go. It's still open right now, so that anybody can go and still pre-order the Deadwood, and I think you guys have like 360 or something additional late pledges pre-orders.
Yeah, and that's like where we're sending people who come to our booth at Origins. They go to that CrowdOx page and can pre-order it there.
So do you just help with like the facilitating after the project is finished? Do you help keep track of where manufacturing is after? Like, what steps do you assist with in general, or do you have like different tiers of service?
Our services are the same for everyone, so there's not, you don't get a little bit here and a lot there, but the system is built so that a creator can log in and be able to manage the dashboard, manage the information of all of the backers. We have a great relationship with Kickstarter, and we've been able to set up an API connection, meaning that all of the backer information comes straight into CrowdOx. There's not a need to export and import data. And that's valuable because some of the information changes along the way. You have, for example, a credit card that fails, right? And so there's a period right after the campaign where you don't know if it's going to fail or if it's going to charge. And because the system is connected in that way, it allows us to know if it did charge or if it didn't. And if it didn't, on average, most campaigns get about 5% or sometimes more of backers that have a card completely fail. And some of them are just, insufficient funds, or, the card expired. There's some like genuine reasons why somebody's card didn't work. And so it gives an opportunity for them to still get that pledge, and because they can pay that through CrowdOx. So there's little things like that it can help facilitate, but all the way to the end, which we're not there with Deadwood yet, but these guys are you're printing right now, is that right?
Yep.
And so it's hot, it's gonna be hot off the press, I'm ready to send pretty soon. And so then they'll get back in the system and be able to have organized information ready to go that they can provide to their shipping provider. And you guys use...
We've used Ship Naked before and a few others.
Okay. And you used like the export, because we have a pre-built Ship Naked export, for example. And so they just go and grab that and send it right to the provider.
Yeah.
So you try to streamline the end process of the orders and getting everything shipped. Like, who does the assembly of the packages? Is that under your umbrella or the publisher, or who does that?
Yeah, so that'd still be like the shipping company that we'd work with, but CrowdOx kind of organizes it all to make sure all the orders are correct and that we're sending the right thing to the right people. And then we just kind of push a button and that exports it, and then we send that to our shipping company who actually we've sent the games to, then they'll send them all out. So.
Okay. Because I know that a lot of times with stretch goals and add-ons, that can get very confusing too, and just trying to figure out who gets what can be a problem. And so with using this API, it sounds like that makes it almost a button push.
Correct. And right now it's, we have an API on that side as well, where the API is with Kickstarter, so the data comes in, and we're actually working now with some of our shipping providers to have an API that goes that direction as well, so that information goes directly to them. Right now, most of them, we have one or two that are a direct API connection on that side, but the rest of them are like an export, and so it's the format that Ship Naked or whomever needs, it's ready to go for them. And this is huge because the alternative, in these guys' case, they have 14,000 backers. Like, that is an insane amount of backers. And if you tried to do that on a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, you'd spend like the next 6 months like trying to play with rows and sorting and that sort of thing. And their game's simple. And so if a more complex set of games and things came in, it becomes a nightmare. So we try to help with alleviate a lot of that extra time, because then a creator can spend their time, whether it's designing new games, or they can spend their time, building their marketing, a website, and focusing on those things so that it's ready to go, maybe retail opportunities. then they're ready to go at that point. You know, when the campaign now has shipped, the product is now shipped, you know, then they're ready. So.
And then you also enable a pre-order system as well for the publisher for extra copies of games, right?
Correct. Yep. So that's definitely a big component. You know, you need somewhere to send them, and it's not really ideal that you send them to your website, because when somebody goes to your website, they're expecting to buy it and receive it within 2 or 3 days, right? And so it's allowing you to kind of stay in a sort of a crowdfunding middle ground, and people can still pre-order and support the campaign. And you know, we encourage creators to also let the backers know that, you know, it might not ship at the same time as the Kickstarter one. It might be shipped a month later, but that it at least allows people to still jump on board and support the campaign.
Cool. So how long have you been around as a business?
CrowdOx has been around for about 3.5 years. We started in a garage, just like most people, like most creators do. We kind of share that origin, where we started small, and both of our founders are developers, and so they not board game developers, you know, computer and internet, and they built CrowdOx slowly. And it's allowed us to develop a foundation that now we can create and make adjustments really quite rapidly. In fact, just added a new feature where we added weight-based shipping, which is something we didn't have in about a week and a half, and which is usually a pretty big endeavor. But because of the foundation that was built, we were able to create that new function.
Cool. How would someone go about working with you and finding out what your abilities and pricing are?
So the best way, you can reach out to us on our website. You can there's the chat function there, as well as you can send us an inquiry and tell us a little bit about what you're working on, and you communicate with me or one of my team, and we'd be able to we try to really tailor the experience for each creator, because they're very different. You know, their games are lower price point. They have high volume of backers. You have some, you know, we work with that are, because we work with non-tabletop products as well, but some it's a $300 product, right? Mm-hmm. And they have low volume, but high price point. So we want to make sure that each one of our customers gets really well taken care of, and so they can reach out to us there. You can also email us at sales@crowdox.com. And it is an OX, CrowdOx, like the animal. So.
Cool. Just so we can find out, tell us a little bit more about Deadwood. So, if someone's interested in going and pre-ordering right now, what's the game about, and how would they go about pre-ordering it?
Yeah, so to pre-order, you can just Google Deadwood CrowdOx. That'll get you to the pre-order page, or you can go to our website, facadegames.com. That'll get you to it as well. But yeah, Deadwood, it's 2 to 9 players. It's light, it's pretty light, medium rules, so it's pretty easy to pick up. Basically, in the game, everyone has safes that they're protecting, and you're working with a team. And some of the safes have gold in them. At the end of the game, the team with the most gold will go to the final showdown. But the catch is that in the final showdown, you're going to have to kill your own teammates. So some of the safes have guns that you can use in the final showdown. So you got to kind of figure out if your teammates not really pulling their own weight, and if they're just saving up guns to beat you. So it's definitely a political, strategic, social deduction, kind of uneasy game. That's a lot of fun.
Cool. And your other 2 games, like Salem is another social deduction game, mm-hmm. and Tortuga kind of, but not really.
Yeah. Salem's definitely a little more social deduction. You're trying to find the witches, and the witch team can grow as the game goes on. Yeah, and Tortuga's a little more strategy of positioning yourself on certain boats or on the island of Tortuga, trying to control the treasure. You have a hidden loyalty to either the British or the French, and you don't necessarily know who's on your team right away, so you're trying to figure out who to trust. And so they all kind of include an element of trust and teamwork, and
a lot of social interaction.
Yeah, high on the interaction.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time, guys, and I hope that everything goes well with finishing up your Deadwood and any future campaigns, and be on the lookout for pre-orders on CrowdOx for games and other products, it sounds like.
That's right.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.